and we are going to go on with the show here. The first chart that I posted in here, I'm only going to do a couple of these because you get tired of hearing about the gaps. But you'll see this is a chart that we looked at yesterday with the Dow Jones. Now, what I wanted to do is to update where we are today, because I think this is also important because we have retraced about 75 of those 100 Dow points that we gapped up on the night of the speech. So all we need now to make this a island reversal pattern is a gap down of about 40 points in the Dow on tomorrow's open. So whether that'll be enough to trigger it as a island reversal or not, I'm not sure. But if you look at this chart really closely, you'll notice that the Dow, since we made the top back in March 1st when the market went ballistic to 335 points, it then broke down, and then it's only had 3 rallies between Monday and today, and that is they were all 70 points. That's absolutely the harmonic number in the Dow Jones. So you want to keep an eye on that, very, very closely, because that's something that I think will be very important if we do gap down tomorrow. I'll be on tomorrow's show, and we have our special guest, Norm Winsky from Astro Trend will be on, and usually when Norm's on, he has something special for us, and I'm sure he does this time because he just finished his 38-page newsletter. That's more than some of the books I've written, but anyway, it's a really good newsletter, so if you have a chance, you should get a sample copy to see if it's the type of thing that you might be interested in. A lot of things to cover today, but the first thing I've had is a question from one of our listeners, and they asked me to discuss some of the books on psychology that I thought were very important in my experience, and it's very easy. I started out with a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and that was back in the late 50s, early 60s. Napoleon Hill actually came to Indiana University and spoke several times. I was able to go to Chicago, and I actually met Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone at one of the meetings that they had there. And, being just a young, college kid, they certainly gave me some extra time. But that book is probably one of the greatest books ever written. Millions and millions of copies have sold. It used to be the classic in positive thinking, and it's one of the best ones I've ever heard of. And it comes in a videotape too, so it's really good to look at it. Now the second book was all part of a program, and that was with Anthony Robbins back in the early 80s, around 84, 85. I met Tony Robbins in Southern California when he was just getting started, and he was into neurolinguistic programming, and his book on power is just absolutely fantastic. He's wrote a lot of books, but his best that I think is that 27 tape CD. You can get it on, I have mine on Nano, so I can, it's on the side of a postage stamp, but you can just repeat. And neurolinguistic program is a way of triggering mechanisms, to, try to make you act. When you hear a mechanism occur, you'll be able to, act in that proper way. And when you're trading, we see so much repetition, both with positive things and negative things. Neuro-linguistic program can be very, very successful in helping you. So I highly recommend both of those. And then there's one other book, and this book I really like. This is a book called Light from Many Lamps. It was written in the 1950s. I believe her name was Mary Watson. I'm pretty sure her last name was Watson, but the name of the book is Light from Many Lamps. It's a compilation of many stories of famous and infamous people, non-so-famous people throughout the years, and what they had to go through to overcome adversity. And it's really a spectacular book. I got a hold of that book in 1985, which was near one of the low points in my life. And it really, really changed my way of thinking. You can still get it on Amazon, and you can get some used copies too. It's been reprinted several times. But Pedro or Al, are you there? 10-4. Broadsword to Danny Boy. Broadsword to Danny Boy. Come in, Danny Boy. Okay. All right. Thanks, folks. I had a little bit of an internet connection. We we've had something really exciting happen here this morning. I was looking out real early this morning. Watching. Had several things that I was looking at in the markets, particularly gold and treasury bonds. And I happened to look out over the city, and the hotel is right near the Causeway Bay that has a really cool um, little freeway. And I saw two cars racing, a red car and a white car. It's too far away to tell what they were, but boy, they were flying. And then just a few seconds later, there were two little police cars trying to catch him, and they were so far behind that it was amazing. And those are called bonsai racers here in Hong Kong. They race really early in the morning, between 3 and 4 in the morning, when there's very few people out on the freeways. And they usually come from China, I've understood by reading some of the articles about it. But they drive somewhere about 120 miles an hour, on the freeways. And these freeways are banked because there's a lot of curves in them, and it's really spectacular. The problem is when one of them crashes, it's bad. So we'll take a break. Be right back.